The May meeting of the Conservation Commission is called to order. Then we do the roll call, starting with Michelle,
Michelle Fitzpatrick, Secretary.
Ray Rafferty, Vice Chair.
Larry Dunn, Chair,
Krista Testante, member.
Tom Olson, member.
Dave Prescott, staff.
Bryce Kelly, staff.
All right, so first item of the agenda is approval of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Comment? All right, I'll approve, it will be approved, and do we have
No Giselle yet. We just have the only person panelist right now is Bryce.
Okay. Okay. First item is public communications. Did you want to start with
Yes, yep. Just like I normally do with our special guests.
our special guest,
yes.
but this is,
We always get special when we get them in here. I like them to go first, so we keep them so we can get our meeting going on afterwards instead of time.
yeah.
So I'll come back one day.
That's right. That's right. We want them to come back, right? They have follow-up, so. You'll come, you should.
All right, Bryce, you're up. Dave has instructed me to keep it as brief as possible, as succinct as possible.
Guess who's in person?
she's in person.
All good.
You're good.
So I'm going to be talking to you all very quickly about the meeting in the middle project, the Muslim Middle project. I know some of you have attended meetings, but I just wanted to grab the opportunity when Dave offered it to come and chat with you all about it. And kind of elicit some feedback. You know, if you got any thoughts, if you have any suggestions or anything like that, we'd like to take all that into account. So I'm going to share my screen so I can run through my brief presentation. Try to make it brief. I cut some slides.
Oh, you did?
I did, yeah.
Might be great.
Try to get this.
So you're here to announce you found the missing middle? Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Nope, not yet. All right. So just for those that are uninitiated, unaware, missing middle, at least how we're defining it, is kind of everything in that spectrum of housing between a single family home on its own lot and some of those larger apartment complexes, right? Those developments. A lot of this stuff is stuff that we already have in Groton. New England is kind of full of examples of these in the more urban cores and suburban areas as well. But this is what we're looking at. So quickly, before we even kind of broach the subject, how does this project fit into the overall environment of goals, preferences, needs, reality? So, you know, both the 2016 POCD and the 2022 Affordable Housing Plan outlined increasing missing middle housing production and availability preferences. So we've heard a lot from the community in terms of the scale of larger multifamily developments. We'd like to see something at a more neighborhood scale, which just fits in really nicely. Needs. So you may or may not have gone through the studies, the housing market studies, the demand studies that have been done 2021, 2023, and now 2025. But that really indicates a demand and a preference for this type of smaller scale housing. Reality, so vacant land is just further between in Groton. And so multifamily developments that are larger in scale, that land's really waning, right, in availability. So we're going to have to start pivoting into more infill development, brownfield development, things like that, getting more creative with how we meet that demand. And then just for you guys, I'm going to be focusing a lot on smart growth tonight, because missing middle housing and infill development more generally really coincides with a lot of the smart growth principles that I think align with a lot of the same goals that you guys have as well. So town goals, I already said it: affordable housing plan of conservation and development 2016. I won't belabor the point. Got some animations that I really love. Just kidding. Town preferences, what I kind of already said, right? So looking at smaller neighborhood scale developments and housing solutions, this is where this spectrum of housing really shines, right? A lot of the times, in fact, this housing will be pretty indiscernible from single family homes. If you've joined us, I know Bray, you joined us on that missing middle housing kind of walking tour. And I think you can attest a lot of these just you would never know unless you start looking at electrical meters. So this 2025 housing study, it not only estimated a range of demand from just over 4,000 units to 5,500 units. This again was pre the new EB hiring frenzy forecast, I guess we'll call it. But that demand, EB has indicated that demand, it's not going to change in the universe of units, but it's going to change in the time that the demand is needed, right? Or the housing units are needed. So the lead-in time is much quicker, right? They need it kind of now. But the other really interesting aspect of that is that in that most recent study, the demand was found to be primarily in that missing middle housing range, right? 65% of the future demand is in that 2 to 19 unit, right? So we wanted to establish that the data kind of informs this project, but also what are we hearing? So every now and then someone will let me know, oh, there's people talking about housing on the community forum again. And it's more and more often I get that, right? People looking for rentals, retirees oftentimes are looking for places, disabled people are looking, and there's really just not a lot available and people are in kind of dire straits, right? So I just threw a couple of these clips in here just to kind of hit home that fact. These are just a few. I mean, there's 106 comments on this one post alone. Like it's anecdotal, obviously, but it really reinforces that that need is here. And then as well, like some of the stuff we're just hearing from people as we do this project, UConn professors that aren't able to buy in this community and they're really a part of this community. To me, that's really resounding, right? Town employees that are struggling to stay in the community. They grew up here. They got a job here. They want to keep living here. They're really struggling. People finding more affordable housing options, but needing to get a lot of roommates. You know, I don't want to say overcrowding situations, but there is that element of overcrowding just to afford units in this town right now. Considering buying a condo, but there are barely, it's a supply, so barely any options available. The supply thing we're hearing constantly, you know, a lot of bidding wars and things like that. Seniors looking for housing, right? That's a perennial problem here. So we've established with data, we've established with preferences, but what about, you know, this concept of really good planning, concept that we're trying to kind of bring through this project, the smart growth principles. So I'm going to kind of tick through all these as quick as I can because I really do feel like this approach is fundamentally aligned, right? So this kind of spoke showing all the different smart growth principles. I'll just kind of tick through them, right? So compact building design is where this really shines, right? So taking those small lots that are maybe undersized or difficult to get a larger home on and being able to utilize those more fully. Also, the footprints of a lot of these homes are rather small, which really fit into that compact building design element. Various housing options. So we actually asked, and I'll go through it a little bit later in this quick presentation, but we asked Union Studios, the architects working with us, to go around town and to create an inventory and then feed this inventory of different missing middle housing types into kind of representative examples, right? And these are the representative examples that they came up with. And these really, you know, show you that there are various housing options already here and ones that we can build upon. Walkable neighborhoods. So obviously you guys probably know, you know, sprawling developments make walkability difficult. You don't have things to walk to. You have to use your car a lot. So compact, you know, in here it's called single family plus walkable amenities. You know, these more compact development types really allow more walkability, especially when you site them closer to commercial corridors, commercial districts, things like that. And, you know, we'll talk about other transit options as well, but obviously if something's walkable, it's probably bikeable, it's probably e-scooterable, I don't know how to say that, but you get the point. So a good test, a good measure for walkable neighborhoods is obviously the trick or treat test, right? So is it a place you'd like to go with your grandchildren or your child to go trick or treating? You know, all of these elements kind of factor into that. question I pose to you, does development in Groton over the last 30 years kind of pass that trick or treat test? Are we building more walkable, child-friendly communities here? Attractive communities. So just a couple examples of how these housing types can really be configured in a way that are really attractive in places you want to go live, visit, bring your kids to, bring your dog to, what have you. They're not, these monolithic structures that I think some people are afraid, more housing will bring. Right. And I think that bottom right, that is one of Union Studios cottage communities, which is just, I think, something that people really think of when they talk about what they want to see in Groton, right? So the other aspect of this is farmland and preserving that farmland and natural resources. So I pulled the map that we have from our draft POCD that shows the 490 properties. And I just want to pause here and talk about, development pressures. These 490 properties, as I'm sure you all know, they're not necessarily protected in the sense that, you guys are familiar with more open space properties protected. But when the demand is really high, as it is in Groton, and when there's not a lot happening, more development pressures are placed on these 490 properties. More development pressures are placed on these areas, maybe north of 95 that don't have water, sewer, that you want to see maybe preserved or in a more natural state. I mean, that's just supply and demand. Those pressures are going to keep increasing. Directing development. So since the 2016 POCD, I think where they highlighted a lot of the nodes, those nodes or the idea of those areas of directing development still remain true today, right? We're looking at areas that have water, sewer, proximity to commercial activity, proximity to transportation. All that remains true, and that's where this housing type really shines. It's not, picking up one of these developments and dropping it in the middle of the woods. So increasing transportation choices. So people really want walkable neighborhoods. It's something that we continue to hear anecdotally or from a lot of the feedback we get, but it also bears out across the nation, right? And, we are working far more right now on figuring out, okay, where are areas that could really make use with more transportation options, right? There's a lot of talk about trying to bring in a rail station. That's going to require development patterns that can support that kind of transportation hub, right? But obviously, missing middle housing really does decrease that car dependency because it increases compact development. So another aspect of smart growth is cost effective. This is just a helpful graphic to show, the difference in costs and tax revenue. I mean, it's pretty dry, but it makes pragmatic sense that more housing options, even if they come at, maybe the house is cheaper than if it were a single family on its own devoted lot. There are more housing options, right? So the land itself is more, there's more value in that land. And then stakeholder collaboration is a big part of smart growth. And we've done a whole lot of engagement with this project. We continue to do engagement with this project. We've had a lot of meetings, surveys, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But we continue to reach out to the community across all the spectrum of community members too, from faith-based organizations to, just residents that we chat to lenders, builders, people doing this work. And we're continuing to do that as well. And then of course, mixed land uses, that is a really effective way to use the land, right? If you can site commercial activity with residential, it's less land used for more productivity, more usability. So a note on affordability, I like to just disclaim. So this project that we're doing, it is not reliant on creating, nothing in this project is going to force someone to create deed restricted or subsidized housing. Yet by making smaller units and units on smaller lots, potentially, it does create more attainability for housing, right? It just logically kind of tracks. So quickly, we talk about missing middle. How did it become missing? I'm going to really fire through these as quick as I can. Zoning, Zoning, so a lot of the housing that you'll see in Groton that is quote unquote missing middle was built before zoning. Since zoning, a lot of this stuff is legal to build. The use regulations, dimensional regulations, use conditions, and of course, parking. Other building fire codes, they definitely make it even more difficult. A lot of them are born in good intentions, some of them not so much. But they can make it really difficult to build this stuff as well. I should note, we're talking constantly with the fire marshals and with the building official to make sure anything in this project kind of passes muster with them as well. And then federal policies and decisions. A lot of people have heard of redlining. Of course, that has had a huge impact. Also, a lot of lending standards, a lot of benefits available to certain classes of people as well. Local opposition, it's certainly a barrier to this type of housing. This is a fun little clip from a Providence newspaper back in the day that called the triple deckers that I think a lot of people kind of look at fondly in New England now as the menace. And then a laundry list of acronyms if you guys in planning didn't have enough acronyms already. And then just you hear a lot of the same stuff over and over again. Community character being under attack with this kind of housing, misconceptions or preconceived notions about who lives in this housing, what this housing does, the look elsewhere if you can't afford here, kind of mentality, the pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. People, I bought my single family home back in the day and, I worked hard for it. A lot of people today are working hard for it. They still can't afford it, right? Infrastructure and capacity concerns, and then concerns around property values. I mean, we hear a lot of the same stuff, but it starts to kind of repeat after a little while. And typically there's really good answers to most of these concerns. So what are we doing currently? So as I'm sure some of you know, this project, $350,000 grant from the Department of Defense. It is under the compatible use plan that's currently going on that the CCOG is leading up. This is kind of like a sub project in it. And ultimately, this is to ensure that, the base's needs and the civilian contractors that help the military, that the demand for housing doesn't interfere too much. Like we need to be able to work with the military installation. And a big part of that is housing. So they awarded us this grant. It's expected to be done in late 2026. So far, we have delivered the housing study back in September, I believe. The housing inventory and typology report, opportunity sites, which we had a public meeting on the 26th. We got build out scenarios that will kind of take all that we've learned and kind of do some mathematical equations to figure out, okay, if we tweak this lever and this lever, what could we expect? And then in December is going to be that final recommended regulatory change that will be presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I will skip this because I will talk about it in more detail, but I do want to make sure that the project design is intentional. I want to make sure that we can communicate that fully. So before we did anything else, we did this regional housing demand and supply study. We heard from a lot of people that you're only looking at Groton. There's a region outside of Groton that has demands too and pressures. So we asked the consultants to look at that region and take into consideration all the other towns around Groton and their own need that they need to meet. And so this report examined current trends, quantity of demand, and highlighted housing preferences. We used a lot of that data, especially preferences, to inform the missing middle inventory. Like I talked about, you went around, found all the missing middle in Groton and created these representative samples. And they're not going to offer us anything that the town's never seen before, right? This is all stuff that kind of has proven to fit in. And then the opportunity sites built upon that and said, okay, we've got these representative samples. Let's imagine them on a site, right? Let's imagine them in some different contexts and scenarios and see how they fit in from that site planning perspective. Obviously, in June, we're going to have these build out scenarios. Those are going to be looking through, okay, so we've built a lot up to this. So what if we tweak this, this, and this in the zoning? What could we expect to change in these different areas that meet criterias of, walkability, proximity to transit, all those kinds of things that we've been talking about. And then, of course, I mentioned, so everything's going to build up into regulatory change recommendations, which, again, I mention this every time. The Planning and Zoning Commission can take it, they can leave it, they can do whatever they want with it. That's the last deliverable for this project, and that'll be up to them to decide. So I definitely recommend, if you haven't seen it yet, check out the Regional Housing Demand and Supply. This is now our third one since COVID, so it offers, a pretty interesting window into the housing market locally. Again, this one's got much prettier pictures, so if you're not a big fan of wordy reports, this one's a really good one to check out. This has the inventory, so some of the pretty pictures. But there's a triple decker. It's in the city, but it's in Groton. We got an inventory of all the parcels that have missing middle on it. I've also taken the inventory that Union did and made a fun little story map, so you can kind of scroll around the town and find the different examples that they found. So opportunity sites. This is, I don't know if you'll know a certain individual, Kevin Fiftel. Does that name ring a bell? No? Come on. All right.
It was on PCC.
Tough crowd tonight. We took his house and made it some missing middle housing. But we did this for 8 different opportunity sites. And it really examined how missing middle housing options can vary depending on the site, trade-offs between housing, parking, and green space, suitability of different types on different types of land, and the whole laundry list. So I recommend, this is another pretty picture report. It's a good one to check out. And it really does, from a site planning perspective, kind of shows you how this could work, right? Which I think is really important. The public meeting for the opportunity site took place at Thrive 55. And it allowed the people to look at those various opportunity sites and to interact with them and give feedback. There were gamified versions where there was a blank site plan that people could place different things on, housing, green space, parking, all that kind of stuff. And I think it was a really useful exercise to take and move forward with the project. This obviously isn't being done in a vacuum. This project has been working alongside the POC. Obviously staff has been working on both simultaneously. So there's a lot of communication between the two. And as I'm sure you've read the draft POCD, you know that housing is going to be a large part of that planning document. I went through every thing that touched that could potentially touch this project, so you can see there's quite a bit of different elements that this type of housing could really impact on the plan of conservation and development. But I need to, geez, I forget. Sometimes I just throw stuff in these presentations. Let's go. There's a lot. That's the gist. There's a lot in the POCD that interacts with the project. And so here are our consultants. We have a website for this project. That website's got everything. So we have Greater Groton, we upload the reports and stuff like that. We keep that functioning and live, but this meeting in the middle hub site allows us to have the maps, the reports, interactive features. And when we have surveys, you can fill them out on there. It's really helpful. So I definitely recommend checking that out.
That was emailed to you last month. So you have the link there if you didn't get a chance to check it out.
Yeah.
Or you want to go back and check it out again.
And there's a hyperlink on Greater Groton to reach this website as well. We just couldn't host everything on Greater Groton that we needed to. And so we've done walking tours. We've done 3 walking tours. They've gone really well. They're very interesting, getting on the ground, checking out these things that you might drive by every day and never notice. But there's a lot. There's a lot that we already have in this town. So we just closed our survey. So some of the high level, I was just throwing this together. I figured you guys would appreciate a little inside look at the survey results. We're hitting a lot more renters in our outreach now, which is really exciting. It's good to hear from renters. And then we asked a question in the survey. Tom, you took it twice, so you should know all about this. I saw you signed up for email updates twice in here. Studious. But if you didn't get a chance to take it, so we asked people how many different home types they've lived in throughout their life. Sometimes you don't think, oh, I did live in a duplex at one point or an apartment at one point. So you can see that people have lived in a wide variety, obviously single family homes dominating still, but a wide variety of these housing types. Interestingly, because we had so many homeowners, they might have owned their home before, things really got expensive. So, while only 44% of respondents said they had trouble finding a home, almost 65% of people knew someone that was having trouble finding a home, which I think is really fascinating. People don't think we're doing okay. We're doing not so great meeting the housing demands. There's work cut out for us for sure. On a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you think Groton's housing needs are being met? 30% said 5. That's probably just people trying to be in the middle a little bit in their surveys, but I think it's still interesting. And what I thought was really interesting, over 50% of people responded that they would be interested in either them or someone they know would be interested in living in a housing type like this. And if you consider just under 5% of people that already live in it, and people who are unsure, there's a good portion of people that at least have some kind of interest in this. And then a lot of interest around having this type of housing help younger families, single parents, seniors. I mean, seniors, we hear a lot from that single floor, accessible home, cottage style is a really big portion of what they're looking for out of this project. So what's next? Threw a lot at you. Obviously, like I said, the POCD touches on a lot of this. So the next logical way to get involved would be the POC or the PZC's public hearing on the POCD on Thursday. It says Tuesday. I shouldn't say Tuesday. I should say Thursday. And then our build out scenario public meeting, we have it scheduled for June 25th at 5:55. I want to end with, does this sound like something? I knew I threw a lot at you, but does this sound like something that is at least on the periphery of some of your priorities in the work that you're doing? Or is it something that's just like this other track, this other rail entirely?
Partially.
Partially. I like to hear that.
So, in our open space plan, we have the, conservation development
Mhm.
communities. And you're kind of leading into some of the stuff we have coming up in a little bit,
Mhm.
where we're trying to promote, 20, 30, 40% of the property is left either nature or, usable parkland, et cetera. And it creates, in essence, smaller footprint
Mhm.
living. So I kind of squint and go, that's probably, missing, the middle housing. You don't get, you don't get 33,000 plus square foot houses in conservation development communities, typically. I mean, I've seen a couple where they did, but usually it's not. It's usually 1, 2, 3 bedroom, attached, 2, 3, 4 attached.
Mhm.
So that's probably the crossover.
Mhm.
And then you get into the difference between density and conservation. So I mean, that's part of most of the public input I got for this meeting is on the open space common interest community. Right.
Which has nothing to do with this project.
I said partially. So but the point is that, depending on how you look at it, is it being used to, let's throw 100 homes on a parcel that typically with single family would
Yep.
be 5, right? Well, or 10 or something,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Versus what we're looking at is saying, no, we're not, our view isn't to increase the number, but it's to, make them more compact.
Mhm.
As I said, typically that tends to make it more middle housing
Mhm.
than the large ones. And that right now is, I think if I summarize it, I'll actually save some time. That's kind of the debate that on Thursday is kind of, I think, at the root of it. Is it going to be, is that particular proposal, because that does appear to be the regulatory, that final box on your chart. Regulation.
You're talking Tuesday, that's tomorrow night. The PO.
I'm sorry, Thursday.
The Thursday's the
Thursday.
Thursday's the POCD public hearing. Tomorrow night's
Planning
PZC.
and zoning, yeah.
That's P and Z, that's, okay, that's what I was thinking of, yeah, the P and Z for that particular element. So, what's the right?
So if I can just
Yeah,
jump in, this project is not about developing, like large parcels or anything like that. This is purely aimed at infill development, right?
okay.
So you're on a slightly oversized lot, you've got room in the back, maybe you can subdivide that and create access there and have that. It's developing and creating more compact development and housing options in areas that are already developed, right? It's not getting out to the extents of,
Okay.
developments and chipping away or anything like that. No large subdivisions. It just doesn't really fit in with what this project's trying to achieve,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Pretty good. One of the things I kind of missed and I didn't see, don't recall, were you looking at a demonstration project proposal as part of your recommendations, such as at Zero Paquonic Road, which is on Laurelwood Drive? The town has the 2.75
Yeah.
acres there. Is that one of your areas that you're looking at? And is that going to be moved forward? Because that's town property that's really not protected.
Yep.
And so it's on that inventory list of all these things, and it's easily walkable because it's right next to Dunkin' Donuts. It's got Big Y across the street and that type of stuff.
Yes.
But are you going beyond or just identifying the place and making like a proposal that the town would develop this either through the housing authority or whatever?
We are looking at demonstration projects that could be an outgrowth out of this project to show the community, this is all potential, right? But a property like that's actually in the build or the opportunity site, report, we identified that because that is a great example of a town-owned project or a town-owned property rather that fits all of the check boxes for what a missing middle project could really, kind of, succeed in, right?
Yeah.
It's walkable, it's in an area with commercial activity. And so, yes, to your point, or kind of to what you were asking, that is a potential outgrowth of this project. It's not within the scope of this project to do that, but we definitely think, an opportunity such as that would be really valuable.
So it's going to be a recommendation in the report.
Potentially. Yep.
Potentially.
Yeah. Yes.
The missing middle to me is their communication with the city of Groton.
Yes.
So they're part of this project as well?
So we are talking with their interim planner. Their planning and zoning commission members have attended a lot of our meetings. They have their plan on conservation development coming up next year, next 2 years.
2028.
Yeah, but they're definitely interested in this, and we're actually seeing if this summer we can do a walking tour in the city to really bring it front and center and show off a lot of the properties over there as well. But this project, I mean, they could definitely take inspiration from any recommendations that come out of this and, repurpose them for the city, but they're not necessarily, we're not doing anything jurisdictionally, right, over there. But I do know they have a lot of interest in increasing, housing options. Yeah.
A lot of the housing stock that somewhat I'm familiar with in West Mystic are big old homes
Mhm.
that when we did the walk off of Pearl Street, we were looking at electrical outlets going to the side of the house to say, okay, how many families perhaps can live there? some of that, I'm assuming, is pre-zoning.
Hmm.
So that if you have a large house and you've decided that, it's just my wife and I could cut it in half, let's say. How difficult is that with whatever our current zoning regs are to make that conversion? And then, so then you could say that you have multiple,
So it is tricky through our zoning, right? Because in our zoning, we don't distinguish between a multi-unit that's 3 units and a multi-unit that's 100 units in the amenities and all the site things that they need to accomplish, right? So part of this project is exactly that, an eye towards conversions, because there may be homeowners that want to do just what you talked about. So we can handle that via the recommendations. The only issue that we're gonna have to figure out when the rubber hits the road is fire code and building code stuff, because that's where it can be tricky. Because if you have one entrance that's serving 4 units, fire code doesn't like that, right? And so that's why we're trying to talk with our building official, with the different fire marshals and fire chiefs throughout Groton to ensure that, anything that we're thinking about and, that might be offered up to the Planning and Zoning Commission could actually result in real, change, right? But some of those units, yes, a lot of the units that you saw probably started off as a large single family home. And then as needs and preferences changed, there were apartments, they were split up into a couple apartments or something like that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some houses that they went from perhaps some sort of a multifamily house to a single family house.
Yes.
The family came in and said, I don't want to have other people in there, if you will. But then if the next owner comes in and says, yeah, I could do that. But it seemed over the years that those that had renters oftentimes had been a little bit on the quiet side. That it wasn't obvious that this was perhaps a two-family house. Maybe they had a single person living there, or so sort of a minimum intact. It wasn't like a family. And it seemed like the town was reluctant to recognize that the person's doing that.
Yeah.
And so therefore it sort of set the tone of saying, trying to expand housing opportunities within the housing stock that you have by subdividing or within the structure itself, the footprint, wasn't favorable. So don't ask, but ask forgiveness later.
Yeah. We want to we're not asking anybody to convert. We're not asking anybody that owns a single family home, you need to have a duplex. We just want to present a larger menu of options so that things can convert over time. If someone wants to make something a 2-family and then the next owner says, no, I want it to be a 1-family, just having those options is really valuable for the town and for the people in those neighborhoods in the community, right? And so just allowing more options is what this project's about. It's not forcing anybody to do anything. It's just a larger menu than what we previously had, right?
My only other follow-up question is, one of the things, just following up on Bray here, as far as subdividing a house up and stuff, you're almost opening yourself up into the short-term rental opportunities again. And how are you balancing that?
So we're very cognizant of the concerns around short-term rentals. Nothing in this project is going to allow someone to have a short-term rental that didn't have one before short-term rental regulations were enacted, right? So if someone decides to build a 3-family missing middle, stacked flat or something like that, they would still have to more than likely go through a public hearing, go through the entire process of getting that thing permitted as a short-term rental. And so far we've had one that has done that, right? So this project's not going to unlock short-term rentals for the town, because at the end of the day, anyone that wants one's going to have to go through a lengthy process to get it, right? That has public feedback, public input, abutters lists, all that kind of stuff that still goes into it.
Thank you.
If you have a short term, is there a difference between short term and let's say month by month?
Yes, because there's a lease, right?
Well,
Um,
I'm sorry. I don't mean somebody who's going to be there for a year and so they're leasing it by the month, but rather in short term, meaning less than 30 days.
Yep.
And you have one set of regs versus someone coming in and saying, okay, I'll go in and Groton Long Point for a month.
Mhm.
And then, so I'll lease it for the month or whatever the arrangement is.
I'd have to check with our zoning enforcement officer as to what would constitute a month-to-month lease. I know like a lot of the homes in the Fort Hill area, the Fort Hill Homes Midway Oval area, a lot of those people are on month-to-month leases. That's a structure of their lease, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those function as short-term rental. Like there are
If it's
definitions.
30 days, it's not your turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're having to put, utilities in your name and all that change of address, all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more substantial, more involved. But
And-
we're,
yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I understand the concern with short-term rentals and I understand the concern with it as part of this project, but I just want to assure all, everyone everywhere that this isn't a vehicle to unlock short-term rentals in any way, shape, or form. It just isn't.
All right,
Okay?
thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Bryce.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I think the net is it's not direct, but it's indirect with, what we're doing or what our.
I just made the case that it's direct. It's the smart brain.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right,
For the rest of the
thank
meeting.
you.
Ann's here.
Is there any other public communication out there?
Ann's here, so I can promote her if you want.
Okay. I guess you can promote me while you're at it too.
Which one?
I didn't know I was up there twice. How did that happen? Okay,
Ann.
I'm special. Okay. Okay. All right,
He
so
was promoted.
as I was saying, oh, there it goes. As I was saying, the,
According to that, your mic is off.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
no, that's because I use it.
Yep, gotcha.
Otherwise you get that
And then,
reverberation.
yeah, that was the feedback. Yep.
It's worse. Yeah. So, like I said, most of the communication, there was one on culverts, which is a continuation of last time, and that's going on with town planning, so I'm not gonna repeat that. There was a second, one on, the presentation for, the impact of AI. That was, sponsored by the Connecticut Land Council from an Aaron Lefland. And there's a link, or I think was there a notification engine? I'm trying to remember. It's
We
not-
sent something
It's
out.
not in there, but
No, it's.
it came out, I was thinking it was a
I have
secondary.
your stuff too.
No.
Hold on. So, yeah, there was no link. So
Yeah.
I never got that one there.
All right.
So I didn't know if that was a continuation of the last month's meeting, because we talked about, I think, was it Ann that was talking about the AI and someone was talking about it.
Yeah.
I brought up that I had attended
That's what
at CLCC.
Yes.
And Ann asked can you give me more details? I went back to Aaron at CLCC, who was one of the presenters, and he forwarded me that portion of the presentation that talked about the energy consumption by AI.
And I shared that.
And then,
Yeah,
and then
right.
she
So,
passed that out.
yeah.
So
That's
that was
what-
just a follow-up to her question.
Power consumption is less than we think it is,
Yes.
according to that presentation, so.
And part of it, like I said, so just, I think you guys have figured out, because I've been here almost 4 years with you now, is that some stuff that's very timely with the meetings, I'll just forward it out after, rather than waiting a whole month and putting into, so that I had sent out as soon as
Right.
Tom gave me that, so that's
Okay.
why you'll get stuff kind of sometimes
Okay.
piecemeal, and that won't get included, other
That's
times if it's
Yeah,
close.
that was just answering a question.
Yeah.
So like I said, the last one was on, Open Space Common Interest Committee, which we did provide a letter to the P and Z supporting it. The issue on the table is, does that, and I use Bryce's term, does that unlock the ability to squeeze a higher density, a number of units on a set piece of property.
So this is the hard question and how I've answered that. This is not our text amendment. So this is not something that we would answer for this. This is
Yep.
something that the applicant has to answer. Now, if the commission came to us and said, hey, listen, we want you to do a text amendment on wheels. And we're like, all right, so the town sponsors, the town puts together, we can answer those questions. It's would not be right for us to try to answer that. That is a question that has to be asked directly to the applicant.
Which is the response we gave back to
Yes,
Chris,
yes,
et
correct.
cetera.
Yep.
So again, it's a valid question that they raised. It's a question of interpretation. So I would support not trying to jam more units in there. That was not the intent of our response. So, all right, so in the interest of time, I'll set that over there. And get rid of that one. And next is report of chair. Okay, gee, a lot of stuff happened in April. So there was April 7th, the Mystic River Alliance meeting where we discussed organizational objectives. And from my perspective, and I expressed this in the session, that the biggest crossover was dealing with the canopy effect. So, right up your alley. And I think I put it in there, is that flooding, water quality, and heat are all benefited by increased canopy. So in that sense, there was an overlap. And so I think that their priorities now reflect that, even though it's talking about the waterway, right? So that I thought was worthwhile.
And obviously that include that as part of the entire presentation. I don't know if you wanted to, but
I didn't want to go over, that's why I kind of.
I know you condensed it, but I just decided to include the entire thing for those of you who hadn't seen it in case you were interested.
Yep. So that was my takeaway though, in the crossover to.
Yes, that's why the presentation from the water people.
Alliance was in there. Yep.
Right, that was a paid for
Got it.
Assessment.
By the Alliance, yep.
By the Alliance.
Okay.
But there was some crossover stuff.
Yeah.
Besides that, I thought that.
No, there's other stuff. That's what I took away.
Yep.
The other thing in April is, and we'll get to this a little later in the agenda, is I did update the waste disposal costs because I had that ongoing. So it's now updated through 2025. And I'll talk about that later. On top of that, because of the organic waste program, which is now being, I guess the word is green lighted for production use, and was in 2027, Jesus, 2027,
Next
that
year.
will be up and running.
Mhm.
So I was trying to do what was the benefit to the town, and my first run through was like, probably $1 million, right, of savings to the town. But we'll talk about that again a little later. April 7th, we published the POCD memo with our texted input. April 23rd, Ray, myself, and Tom had a special subcommittee on the presentation to the town council, and we'll talk about that later. I attended the April 25th Earth Day, as all of us did. I guess I got the two, then in addition to the objectives of the Mystic River watershed, the assessment, I kind of merged those two together in my last content, was also done. And I'll end there, and we'll revisit some of these later. So let me turn it back over to the report of the commission. Start this then.
Okay, on April 10th, I did the backwhack cleanup along Birch Plain Creek. Lots of support. We had probably over 25 people there.
Wow.
It's run, we had Mystic, NER people basically focused on on all the arrangements and getting everybody lined up. They had folks at Groton Estates area. They did a cleanup area there. The Mystic Aquarium people supported the cleanup along at Groton Estates in that area in the water and stuff, pulling out bicycles and that type of stuff. And then the remainder of the folks were over at the Joel property where the encampment had been reestablished. And so that's where that was my responsibility. And I got that all cleaned up, and we collected everything into a fairly large area where the tents and all that kind of stuff was, but we got all the peripheral stuff. And then the town, I don't know if they've done it yet. I haven't gotten back there to see if they have responsibility. They're outsourcing to a contractor to pull all the rest of the stuff out, because the concern that we had was that we've got volunteers here, and we don't know what's inside that tent relative to drugs and needles and all this other kind of stuff. So we just left all that stuff there at the direction of the town manager. And so it's fairly successful. We had at least, about 35 bags worth of stuff.
Wow.
And so there's a lot just at that one location. We did not get on, and so in the past, we've put stuff at Sparkle Lake and had the town Parks and Rec pick stuff up, but we didn't even get there this year. We just didn't have enough. The focus was on the Joel property, and then the two sites. And the city takes care of the stuff at the Groton, the Groton City side. So that was all taken care of. So, and then the last thing, I did make some personal comments as a citizen to the town council by an email to for the public hearing on the plan of conservation development. And I've gotten feedback today from one of the town councilors, and I'm answering that question just to clarify. It looks like in my comments, I had reference back to an older version, and so some of the text wasn't the same. So I updated that and provided that to him, and I'll be making that same. I intend to attend the next Thursday's meeting for the actual POCD as a citizen. All right, and that's all I've got in this topic.
Just
This
so you guys don't.
Tuesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
PZ versus,
Yep.
versus POCD. Zal?
In April, I attended April 25th, the Earth Day Expo Fair. I also helped out setting everything up, and I thought it was a great success. I have some stuff to discuss with my tree canopy stuff and later, but that is all that I've done this month.
Wait, you completed your school year for your.
Oh yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, come on.
It's not really work for me this related, but thank you. Yes, I'm officially done for the year.
Yay.
No, not the year. I'm sorry. I start back in fall. But yeah, I have 4 months of relaxation.
Good. Deserve it.
Thank you.
Went to the Earth Day Fair with everybody else here. And I've had some communication with GCA, who are regrouping right now. Different cast of characters, trying to focus in on what the agenda, what the direction of focus is going to be. But right now, they're very concerned about the common interest communities. I think they feel that it could be potentially a loophole and take power away from planning and zoning and enable development of 490 properties. So they're kind of, I think they're going to be very active in the conversation about this issue. And then I've looked a little bit at Larry's model. That's it.
I can, like everyone else, attended the Earth Day festivities, and I agree. I thought it went very well, and I was very impressed with the Connecticut College folks who were there. Also, I was one of Tom's foot soldiers at the cleanup. He went one way and I did the other, but we worked in the same area, so I participated with that. And the last item is Pequot Woods annual meeting. And so I don't know where in the agenda you want to make the appointment.
Well, I think, I do have it a little later, but for now, in terms of what happened at the meeting and the fact that, that there's land swap proposals, that part of that.
Well, it's right. I didn't know where you want to put it, if you want to do later about the official.
Yeah, no,
Representation.
that
We'll do that
plan.
later. So annually, the Pequot Woods is for those that aren't familiar with it, is one of the open space properties the town has. And it's one of the two open space properties that has a advisory board to it, attached to it. And the advisory board is made up when the Pequot Woods was first formed, the donor of the land established a board that has something like 20 people. And each one has a title on it. So we had somebody from Nature Conservancy, somebody from the Arboretum, Connecticut College Arboretum, et cetera. And then you go down, and the mayor, as well as chair of the Groton Conservation Commission. So years ago, when I was chair, I went ahead and started attending the meetings and became chair. So in this year, each year we meet once a year, and we review the woods, issues that may be taking place on the trail system, how well Parks and Rec is able to come out and do maintenance on the trails. We have each member is required, each board member takes a particular month of the year to do a walk on the trail system. And we have a jot form to fill out, and it goes back to Mark Perry, Director of Parks and Rec. And then from that, they look to see if there's a tree down across the trail, or is there something else that needs to be addressed. They're unable to get out there on a monthly basis, but each member, we try to support the Parks and Rec and make their job a little bit easier to say when there's something needs to be done, this is where it is on the trail. This is what we're seeing. And then they can then go ahead and schedule something in the near future to make a correction for it. But one of the things that happened a couple of years ago was we had a discussion about a foundation that's up in the middle of the property along the loop trail. That is an old foundation, and didn't know anything about it, didn't know very much about it. Contacted Mystic River Historic Society and said, do you guys know anything about this particular home cellar hole? Because if you do, we'd like to have a sign to be put up explaining a bit about this foundation. What is this foundation? How does it fit into the property? What's the time frame that maybe there was a house there? And Madam Comrie, she came up with a very nice metal sign that will be put in place, explaining the cellar hole, who was the last person who owned the home that was there, something about the person, the gentleman, Jesse's homestead, and it'll be on Trails Day, I believe, coming up in June 6th, I think.
Mhm.
The Historic Society is going to be doing a tour. They're going to lead a trail walk on Pequot property, and I think they're going to do the unveiling at that time. So one of the nice things that the Parks and Rec had an opportunity to do this spring was to actually open up the brush pile that is enclosed the invasive species, the wild rose, has totally overgrown it. So unless you knew it was there, you'd walk right by it and it was just a thicket. And so they've now cut a walkway to it.
Nice.
You can see it's a small cellar hole, but it's nice to be exposed. And as you're doing the walk around the woods, it gives something else to take a look at, learn something about the history of the woods. They've cleared some of the big stone walls that supported the farm that was there many years ago, opened that up. That's good news. So now that those have opened, the bad news is sort of that there are parts of the trail that still needs attention, and Parks and Rec right now just doesn't have the manpower. So they're down 3 people, I think. And they're under the throes of rehiring, as well as they normally do trail clearing in Pequot Woods in the wintertime. But because of the level of snow on the ground, there was a long period of time where they might have gotten in there, they couldn't. So we're in discussion about stewardship in a sense that how do we have on a map available on the town site showing this trail system, and I walk through it, and it's very difficult to get through, hard to see the trail markers as you go through. A lot of briars that have closed in to make it very difficult to walk through. And going forward, is that trail going to be reopened, or what's going to happen? So that's one of those perennial stewardship that we've talked about of open space within the town. And it's one of those ones it's been a challenge at Pequot Woods because they've just they're spread so thin. It was nice that they had an opportunity to open up the cellar hole that that's on the back loop, but it's also the problem is going to be every summer it's going to close back in again unless they can get people not only in the wintertime clearing but also in the summer. And that's usually when they're straight out with mowing and the golf course and all the ball fields and everything, keeping those going. So it's a forever challenge. And then the last,
Opportunity for volunteers.
absolutely. The last item on the agenda was that on our agenda, we had an incomplete request for a donation of land to Pequot Woods and a request to remove part of Pequot Woods, part of the land. And so it was a swap about along Sandy Hollow Road that it turns out that the largest open piece of land adjacent to Pequot Woods is 80 acres of the estate of Fugere. And it's been a farm forever that I can remember. And the part of the Pequot Woods Trail, Loop Trail, goes right up to a stone wall boundary between us and this piece of property. And there was in the packet to us was a request to consider a land swap. It didn't say what it was part of. It didn't say who was doing the asking. It didn't say why did you want, for instance, to give up. Why were they asking to take a small piece of the boundary of Pequot Woods? And when I asked the Mark Berry if since he put the annual minutes in the packet together and mails it out, what did he know? And he was unaware of this was part of some sort of a proposed development. So the bottom line of this whole thing is that on one side of the fence, some people who have heard that this 80 acres that's under 490 is now possibly up for sale. And a developer has come in to take a look at what might happen to this piece of property. And one of the, at our meeting, we had a member of the public there who lives right next to Pequot Woods and is adjacent to this 80-acre piece of property. And he said that he has seen some sort of development plan that they were talking about on this 80-acre of having over 300 homes put in there. And that was all news to me.
It seems like a lot of homes for 80.
Not having anything in front of me.
Yeah, I know,
Right.
That's good. Yep.
So at the moment, so I talked with Dave about this, and basically because it's we can't comment on whatever this development is from the Pequot Woods standpoint, because it's a town property, and unless, I'm sorry, the adjacent property is private hands, and to ask for, for the developer, potential developer perhaps, to ask Pequot Woods to, if could we swap out one piece of our land for a piece of your land? We don't have the authority, we're advisory.
Right, I was just gonna say, that's a town council decision.
It's a town decision.
Not-
That's town
not-
council,
Yeah.
public hearings.
Public hearings, the whole 9 yards. So when you were talking about this P and Z looking at the new conservation development,
Open space.
this
community.
community,
Yeah.
right, I have it here somewhere. My question was, is that going to open the can of worms, that it's going to allow a more dense housing unit? And that's what he's looking at, because supposedly the developer was waiting for or requesting a zoning variance for this development. So not having seen anything, not even had heard, and there was no one on our board who's heard of any of that going on. So it's one of those pieces of property right now for everybody to keep their ears to the ground, and we're going to see what happens on this piece of property, because it looks like something, the owners of it, it's been passed down to the kids in the trust, and they're now ready to let it go. And there has been no offer to say to Pequot Woods, for instance, would you like this as open space, additional open space? It would be great, because it lies between Wolfbrook, which is the new town open space, and Pequot Woods itself.
Oh, nice.
So that would have been nice. And the other is because it's one of the few farms that's there, one would think that maybe there's another offering that for agriculture, to develop it further for farming. And we've seen very few since I've been here, where people have come in to ask, can I take this large piece of land and turn it into a farm, for instance? We have so little of it in the town, and that hasn't risen up either. So it's moving forward for housing. And so recently, just trying to get a handle on what is going on, and what is Pequot Woods legally, can we do or not do? Discussions with the town, and we came up with the town shared our position at the moment. So now we're waiting for the next step to see if this development is for real and if they're going to go forward. And it has to go through planning here, so that once it's presented to the planning department, then they have something to chew on, and then they can come back to Pequot Woods or to us on the Conservation Commission and say, we're supposed to get some, the town should be getting some open space out of this potential development. And if so, where would you like to have it? And as discussions that we've had in the past with other developments. So that's where we are with that.
Okay. So waiting.
Wait.
Everything I did, I have, goes on the agenda somewhere. Obviously, it was a Earth Day, and I have that. I'll talk a little bit more, and then I also have something to add to outreach when we get to that point.
All right.
Whoa.
Well,
Don't forget
Ann.
our friend Ann.
that was Ann.
Yes,
Damn.
hi. Sorry about that. I guess the primary thing was Earth Day, all day at the Earth Day Expo. Just helping Jason with anything he needed last minute, and also manning a couple of booths. And then I don't have updates on all the bills from the legislature. I'm still trying to figure out what was passed and what wasn't passed, and what I know the riparian buffer bill passed, for example, but I'm not sure what was actually in the bill. I had read some things from some of the nonprofits that felt like the bill was actually worse than what we currently have. So I want to review that. So Dave, what I'll do is just send that to you, the update on the bills that maybe you can
Sure.
include in next month's packet.
Yep. Yep. No
Sounds
problem.
good. Thanks. That's it.
All right, thank you. Old business, open space inventory.
This month, we finally got stuff from NOAA after that took a look at, and it's on page 72 of the package here, is the map that we had been talking potentially about offering up as our desired land map because what it did was we took a look at what's preserved, under the new definitions that are coming out once the POCD gets approved, to map out the preserved, the protected, and then the stuff that's zone GC or GR, and then the parcels that have a town open space or conservation easement on them. It's the entire parcel, but not, in some of these, it's like half the parcel. Sometimes it's just a portion, a small sliver of the parcel, but we put the whole entire parcel here because it was just at least easier to identify this as the area. And then also for all the PA 490, so that these are all the areas that either are covered or that could potentially be covered as a focus area. And then you tie this with our open space conservation plan that has the green belts, the green belts in them, and that combination would say these are the parcels that would be identified. And so on a go forward basis, this is basically the starting point of what our new inventory would look like. With the new definitions. So that was why NOAA put that all together. And so we'll wait till after the POCD gets done, and then I'll come back with a proposal as far as what to do to the inventory and what to do to the open space conservation plan from a parcel perspective, as far as on the go forward. But this is the first step in this, and to kind of give you a way ahead as far as what we're looking at, as far as when you'd say what's the open space areas of the town, just like we have on the inventory today. So it's really not going to change much, but it'll at least have the different categorizations rather than these 14 categories that we have today. Get it down to
We don't
four.
have 14.
But that was driven by the current POCD.
All right. Okay.
That's my report for this.
Included in the.
Oh, I take it back. He also in NOAA did a quick update because I forgot to mention this, that the other part was that if you go to our open space conservation app, there's a new layer that he added. In addition to there's a conservation opportunity area set. I had mentioned this back from the Kakiwik that the state wildlife management plan had developed these conservation opportunity areas. They finally came out with those in the ArcGIS, and he is within literally 3 minutes of work, he was able to add that as a layer. So if you take the current map, there's now you can add that layer, and it shows you all the pink areas that are conservation opportunity zones. So you can see where they show up, and there's a lot of them in Groton. So it's kind of interesting. And so he was able to add that, just as he does the natural database layer. This is also
Other
the
than that
opportunity zones.
information, does that provide any benefit for Aspen grants or anything else?
Potentially, you can say that this is a higher value area, but for the guidance of deep, particularly from the wildlife management aspects. But they have, it's a kind, they're still developing this as far as giving you more ability to go in and modify it and understand why did this get identified. That haven't posted that, all the reasoning behind it.
So we have pink blobs.
We have pink blobs right now, but that tells you that these are the high interest areas within the town, which surprisingly there's some areas that are, you see green coming through. That means that we already own it for conservation perspectives, but there's other areas that have interest that we're duplicating. So we kind of have to take a look at this. And I think this is what we need to be taking a look at in our next update to the open space conservation plan, is focusing in on these areas combined with the green belts and the new definitions. So, yes.
Is this a higher level of awareness about environmental, whether plant or animals, that we're
Right, it's a combination of taking a
circle.
look at what the endangered species are and where the wildlife is, as well as other opportunities. They're saying that these are like half-acre blocks. That they're down to that level of definition and stuff in here, and there's a whole matrix that gets involved of different aspects that drive you. And this is only the top 20% of reasons for, as far as on what they want to have to make it onto this cut, as far as why this parcel is good, has good conservation value. Okay, so I did get that also installed.
Cool.
Have to look with it.
Let's take a look at it. Yeah. It's just another one of the layers on the inventory.
It is.
Yeah, it's already there. That's what I just picked it up and
So
posted it there.
I'm thinking about what our next task is after the Groton 2035 is out. So-
Yeah. So this is
But we'll put that in the queue for.
right. It's in the queue. This is not a crisis
Discussion.
item. This is and they're still giving me parting out the information. And this was just last week. It was like that they posted that here's the link that you can get the access to it. And Noah picked that up immediately and loaded it up. I mean, I sent the email to him, said, here's the link. Can you make an overlay area? And he said, he came back, it's done. Literally within minutes.
Nice.
All right, thank you. I mentioned earlier that we had a special subcommittee meeting on the presentation to the town council. So my objective, let me share it up here. It's in the agenda package. I don't want to sign in.
The presentations in the agenda package?
Yeah, no, not the presentation, the objectives of the presentation.
Can you give me a page number?
Is it up there? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I'm not sure what page there, page 68.
68, yeah.
Okay. So putting aside the actions for the subcommittee, so the objectives, I want to focus on the objectives. The intent is to get a motion to support that this would be the right direction for the subcommittee to continue to develop it. So the net is pretty simple. First is which is our statutory requirement. So it's not a vote on that one, so we have to do that one, which is an update on preserve protected easements, PA 490, et cetera, on the town, and talk about what's changed since the last time we presented. And it looks like not a heck of a lot has changed in terms of the total area, which is 29.5.
Yeah.
That's as I recall.
6 or 7.
Depends on with
Something like
easements
that.
makes good shit other.
And basically statement that if any changes when we come out with the final, if there's a definition change, we look at
That
alignment
might change.
after
Yeah.
that happens. So we're not doing anything proactive. Then there was a district view that was requested by the town council. The point would be is that given the fact that we think we're gonna get limited time in the meeting, was to provide it as attachment and make note of that and see if anyone has any questions on it. The third thing was, tree canopy. So we're getting into tree canopy. We thought that would be the third thing to do and, oh, I guess you see the action I was gonna reach out to you. But anywho, is we're really, part of our role as tree advisory board. We want to, point a little bit about there. Obviously, getting the support of the tree plan from the Conservation Commission. And I think I gave you one page to squeeze this into, something like that. So
A little bit more than that.
we have, well, so we'll have work to do there. So those were, again, it was a tight, small one to meet our statutory requirements and do that. Now, we did want to talk about challenges, which is the last piece that would be presented. And we would reference our Conservation Commission 2026 objectives, highlight the challenges and indicate that we'll be creating an action plan based upon the new POCD. And those are the six that are there. And I think there's some quick updates on each of those challenges that we wanted to highlight. So it's not necessarily stuff we did, which is always nice to do, but some of it is still stuff we're going to do. So that was it. I mean, that was so I'll throw it open for comments about agree, yeah, but some changes, you're missing a section or something to be added. So let me throw it out. I'll start on the right side with the show.
I think this looks like a good outline. I didn't realize that's what this was.
Oh my
I saw that it
goodness.
was a subcommittee. It's like, what are they talking about?
What is that? You voted on the subcommittee in the
I
last.
know, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific right now, but if I think of something, I'll let you know.
Well, I should have, to the left, I should have started with Ann, since she's
Yep.
Left.
in the room on to the left. You're on mute.
I'm just trying to find her.
There we go. Yeah, I agree with Michelle. I think it's a good outline. I was trying to think if there was something else that needed to be addressed, but nothing came to mind.
Well, I think given what you just said, is there anything in the new legislation that would impact the town that perhaps is worthy of being highlighted?
Well, that's a good point.
There might be actually, when I get that summary together, yeah, there might be some things that might impact the town. That's a good point.
So I think that's it, is that we're not getting an update on the statute, we're just saying
Right.
something might slap you across the face or something. All right, impact of legislation, new legislation.
And Larry, on that note, the next time you plan to meet is July, correct?
Yeah, we scheduled, oh, right.
So I want to talk to you about that just for a couple of things. So I have it scheduled. All the rooms are booked, so you guys are actually going to be in CR1. That's the only one that's.
We get the big
You do,
dog
so it'd be
room.
kind of weird with three of you in there, but that's fine. As long as you keep it to three underneath your quorum, you're all good. So, and basically the reason why I'm saying this is that you have time. If they're not
Oh.
meeting till July 2nd, you don't have to rush to get that to them. Well,
Okay.
you'll have another meeting in between.
Right.
No, I wanted to
great.
make sure she wasn't like, oh, I need to get you two right away.
no,
And
no,
then you
no,
guys would
yeah.
be sitting on it for a month and a half.
The target is in the fall to present to town council. We got to get through the budget. We got to get through the PLCD. So we wanted their attention, and so that's kind of what we zeroed in on. So yes, so there's certainly time. Thank you, Bray. We'll continue to the.
Echo their thoughts.
Yeah, it looks like pretty thorough, good.
Well, good.
Want to leave? Yeah, I thought you'd at least say take the tree canopy out.
Oh,
No,
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 let's
okay,
keep it.
all right. Very good. And Tom's on the commit. Yeah, so
Yes,
that's yeah.
You don't care about me.
I don't care. All right, so I guess without objections, we will continue on the path that we have set as the special subcommittee.
Good
And
job, subcommittee.
we will continue to be special.
We'll try.
We'll try, okay. Put that there. That was the minutes. 6.3, Groton 2035 Plan of Conservation. We sent a letter, Tom mentioned he submitted comments, that's in the agenda. I don't think we need to go over it again. The next item is solid waste management status. Page 75 in the agenda, there's a couple of things. And I'm gonna probably provide homework assignments rather than spend a lot of time. 72, 73. Oops, oh, I guess there's,
There's 3 pages.
yeah, hold on, let me get rid of.
You gotta put some of this in graphic
Yeah,
form,
I
Larry.
gotta get
It's
this
hard to
stuff
see it.
outside.
No,
Hold on,
it's
hold on,
much easier with the graphic.
hold on, let me get rid of
Oh.
this.
Just close out your bookmark.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was looking at, figure out to close the bookmarks. Okay.
Yeah, I can make it bigger now.
Okay, now it's in the handout. I get, the point is that I presented this before, but now you'll notice I added full year 2025. So that's like the background information. So if you go to the page before that, oops, I guess it's a page after that. There it is. Oops, 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 oops. So the overall summary, if you look at, this is interesting because here's the impact of some of the stuff we've done, which is the plastic reductions, et cetera, is that from 2019, which is where I guess I started this, and to 2025, the cost to Groton has gone up by about 7%. The tonnage has gone down by 2,273 tons. So, a lot of that is, some of the work that we've done and other folks have done. So it's an interesting one which is, I guess, the point that we're trying to make with organic is that even though our tonnage is going down, the cost is going up. And
It'd be worse if the tonnage didn't go down.
it's, oh yeah, it'd be worse. But now it's going to be even worse because with the shutdown of the plant, yes.
Well, before you get all liquored up here, where is the population number that there's units that are being served by this? Because if the population has been going down, you just can't, that's going to have a net loss
Is
of
the population going
town.
down?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but not, I mean, it's not.
That's where
it's not substantial.
But I mean, you're making an assumption that this whole thing is all due to us and the plastics.
I didn't say all due to us.
That's what I'm saying.
You're making that, that's why I was hearing it, excuse me, that's why I wanted to clarify that. So that's what I'm saying, maybe you need to, I didn't see anywhere in here that there's a population factor that you're putting into place.
More older people
Alright.
generating less trash than young families do, or who knows what.
That's true also,
I know, the number of
the
households,
demographic
number of people, I
impact.
mean,
Right.
I will go back and look at that. We do have that data, but don't recall it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I know there's a slight reduction in school children. It continues to go down.
Yep.
But the house number of actual houses has gone up
Houses have gone up because family size has gone.
Yeah.
because family sizes have gone down. So it's kind of a,
and if families, as the size times go down, there's less trash with those families.
yeah, well, that's an assumption. We don't know
Yeah,
that. You have high consumption
More
families.
and more single family.
And more single families that
single
use
person
crap.
Households.
Yeah, so, 2 households with
It's hard
less.
to, it's a hard.
that's all I'm
Yeah,
asking,
yeah.
what
No, I'll go look
impact
at it, but
it's a
it's-
factor that you
It's
should
a
just be
factor,
applying
but
to.
it doesn't necessarily, it's not just on.
Correlation doesn't mean causation
Right,
either.
right. Yeah.
Any of that stuff, so.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we got, so there's a point. But I don't know the answer to that, because I see a lot of conflicting things. People can go down, but am I out of power already? Oh, my Lord.
We're up.
It goes up.
Yeah.
New computer.
Like crappy computer. All right, so I will go and do that. So let me go refer to your own notes then. Um, let's see. So then,
Does your computer use a USB C other C?
yeah. Oh, you got a power stick?
The real thing's gonna
I
be
didn't bring it with me.
when they close those plants and our costs start skyrocketing, our cost per ton's gonna
Well,
skyrocket. That's the thing.
That's the next thing I was gonna do. You got a remote power charge.
Yeah, I don't know if it works. It means for iPad level, I don't know if it's got enough charge to do much for the computer, but you can try it.
Thank you. It says it's charging. All right, while that's charging.
It gets started.
So one of the things I want to do that's in there, I guess on the prior page, was review with with SCARA, the validation of the disposal cost escalation assumptions, because a lot of things are happening. Then also there's regional processing and transportation. I mean, there's a cost side of organic, so it's a net, not just the fact that we're getting rid of tons. And review again. So there's some work I have to do with them to validate the model that I built. But the initial, which kind of matches, because I was talking with David at the fair or at Earth Day, and we kind of came out with about the same number. It looks like there'd be about $1 million worth of savings. So it's a significant, from the town point of view, it's certainly worth it. And part of what I want to do is get back to the town that says there's a savings here to the town and the town budget.
And so this is where it gets, this is a very tricky topic because of the fact that basically we all have private haulers. We don't have, like, that's the challenge here. And I think that that's actually why PCC pushed back on this, saying that this isn't a priority, because basically everyone has their own private haulers.
But
Like, we don't,
part of the concept is, at the landfill, at our landfill, people bring, could either bring it in, or you have a special hauler that comes around and just picks up that one organic waste bucket.
yeah, from that standpoint, for the organic.
So
yes, if it goes there.
Right, if it goes, so that's what I'm saying, there's a number of assumptions.
Yes.
And if they get the private hauler to do the routes and pick it up, then right, that avoids the fact that we do have multiple ones. But you're right, but I think it's worthy to put out, well, one is the savings and the other is from an environmental point of view, it's worth the effort. And the third thing is you get good fertilizer out. Yep. So.
Yeah, like I said, it's a harder tie-in to the POCD and actually like an action item, because of, if that doesn't happen, if the organic waste is not there, that's where it's some stuff we have control over, some stuff we don't. And most likely what's going to happen is once the Preston site
is up and running,
is up and running. I mean, we already have a couple of haulers that are doing that on the side as a private business, and that's probably what's going to happen, is that there's just going to be an explosion in the private haulers actually taking that over, and everyone getting a postcard in the mail saying, hey, listen, we'll get rid of your compost stuff.
Right.
So it's just a harder tie-in. I totally get it, and I support it 100%, but it's a harder tie-in directly to the POCD. I actually think it has a greater tie-in to Climate Ready Groton than it does to the POCD. And I think that's, at least from how I interpreted what the PCC said about this topic, that was really the issue. So take it as it is, but.
Well, given the fact that from a conservation point of view, I mean, that's where we started with this whole thing.
Yeah, no, I know.
And the fact that we can then save money, whether it's the town or it's the people in the town.
I know.
Right.
And that's where it gets a little, yes.
I think that's the problem, is that people, I think it's rolled into our taxes, so we're not really conscious of the actual cost of having our trash hauled. So without a pay as you throw.
That's not true. That's not true.
Not true.
In certain places it is, like Noang takes care of it.
But city.
But the rest of them in the city takes, but the rest of them pay for a private hauler. So if I want to go with whatever CWP, whatever that one is there, I do that on my own. If I live in, name a place, I live on Fort Hill Road. Like I don't have that option
I
that,
don't, do I pay, I don't pay directly. I don't, I just
Yes,
pay, is it a part
no,
of the
no,
town?
we're paying in our fire district
Yeah.
tax.
And-
No, I don't want to tax, but people don't see, that's the thing.
No, people don't.
they don't see it, right?
It's just a direct, like, oh, wow, if I put
I get a separate.
organic. in
Yeah, I got separate
bin,
billing.
I'm gonna save money. Because unless you have pay as you throw, people
we
aren't
know,
gonna
right.
understand
Right,
that,
no, I agree.
savings.
In the interest of time.
Yes, time, yes.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
quick question on this, on the numbers? Are these coming from like, the hauler is going to Preston? So where are these numbers coming from, all these different
Scara.
haulers? From Scara, but is Scara looking at the delivery that we're making to, where are we going? Where's our stuff going to? It's,
Yeah,
Killington, not
yeah,
Killington.
Scare handles the, all the waste entirely. The organic stuff is a subset.
Because one of the things on the subset would be what goes to Willimantic Waste and Paper, the recyclables.
Yep.
How does that compare to our solid waste?
Yeah.
And then are the numbers increasing, decreasing? Because that's going to a whole separate area, and we're town's paying for both places, right? We're
I don't know.
No, we.
well, I mean,
so.
the haul, I'm not
No,
sure how that
it's
scares doing that.
yeah, it's kind of a consolidated area. So it goes in and they spit it out to different places, because some of the stuff is shipped out of state,
Right.
right? Some of the stuff is burned, some of the stuff is.
Right,
We don't have any landfills left.
No.
So it's a variety of places. This actually kind of just adds another disposal site, right, for the organic waste.
Right.
But the consolidated waste is the totality of all that stuff.
And that's where I think that the challenge is from an implementation side from the town. It's not like we can say, and even though we have in the POCD, like, like looking at transportation and bus routes and like the seat program, right? We only have so much control over that. Like it's really, we can advocate, but that's really,
Right.
that's.
Well,
Take
right
the-
now, that's what we've been doing. We've
Right,
been
no, I know, right,
advocating,
right.
and that's the discussion I've had with Sarah, is that we want to support you as they bring their proposal to the town council to say, yes, we'll allow you into our town to do X, Y, or Z. That's what I thought it was doing. Now, the point of saving money is that the town, quotes, saves
Right.
money. Now, we're how that flows through the
Yeah.
individual, through the town, but I still think the fact to point out that your constituents somehow are going to be saving money, right?
I totally agree, and I'm, like I said, I'm trying to see it from at least how it was explained to me, why they don't see it as big of
No,
a.
I understand that. That's the, how do you handle politically, what I'm talking about from a pragmatic point of view, that the constituents are saving money. Now, they can debate, how are they going to see it? Right?
Is it-
And that's going to change, but by having support for it means you'll get a higher acceptance rate of doing it. And we just have to point out is that you might see it, your lower taxes, you might see it as a direct reduction, you might see, so
No, I get it. No,
we're not
get
there
it.
yet.
I know, right, that's kind of what I'm saying.
We're not there yet. This is a proposed draft.
I know,
of a model.
I'm just like I always think back of like how Rhode Island does it. So where again we have private haulers from most of the communities, but it's all based on the recycling rate. So if you recycle at a higher level, then you get a bigger kickback from the state. So it's beneficial to the town. But this has the connection's a lot. It's not as smooth,
Yeah,
It's
no,
kind of like
it's messy.
it's like yeah,
It's
exactly.
Connecticut. It's
Yeah,
messy.
It's messy.
Welcome to
Talk on.
Connecticut.
It's messy everywhere.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're not alone on that one.
No,
Operations. Okay, so I guess my ask to you guys, like Tom brought up a question, is to look through the. What did I do with the model? Did we put that out?
What?
Did we distribute the model?
We don't have the actual model, like where we could input.
Yeah, no, I
values.
couldn't put it in the agenda because it's Excel.
Mhm.
Which model? For the,
The waste,
um,
solid waste cost projections and organic diversion.
we made it into an Excel. You made that, that's what's in there.
No, that's not the
Oh,
model.
the model is like next to impossible to put in
Yeah,
there.
no, right. So,
Yep.
so what I would do is I, I will bend the rule. I will distribute the model.
Uh-oh.
Nah,
Nobody heard that.
nobody heard that, yeah. And I'm looking back, for comments. I mean, there's a write-up about, what some of the background and why it's there. That's in the agenda. And so I would like, comments by towns that would allow me to improve it. And then I want to cycle with Scara to answer some of the other questions. So there's a ways to go that my partner in crime in waste management, my garbage partner.
Your title's getting better and better.
Yeah.
It's getting better.
I can trash talk with the best.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
That I'm gonna
This is-
swing her into working with me on this thing. Okay.
And Larry, just as a side note here, the town does have in the public works budget, the transfer station, there's two parts to it. There's fees that they receive from,
Right.
and then there's also operational costs. The operational costs did go up from 2.0 million to $2.1 million.
Which is what I said. It is going up.
Yeah.
So, and it's gonna get a lot worse.
Yep.
Yeah, with the landfill
Before it gets
costs.
better. So even if it's a cost avoidance, because if the
Yeah.
tonnage goes down,
Right.
because it got diverted, then that's a direct savings. So I mean, it's not, there's, I think, different pieces of the savings.
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
I think our objective was something that's important environmentally and for conservation and for greenhouse,
Oh, I
everything.
get it.
But let's, the pocketbook is the way to
Oh, I
persuade
totally,
people that it's the right.
I
thing to
totally
do.
get it, but when it,
That's
like, again, a lot of what comes out for the strategies and recommendations of P O C D is all looking at financial stuff, and it's direct, like, okay, we want to do this, we need to develop a CIP program for that, or what, or this is gonna cost this and what.
Yeah,
This is like,
isn't-
like we said,
this
like
isn't-
Larry said, it's messy, it's not a clean,
Yes,
it's not a
I hear
clean
you.
path,
I hear you,
so, that's it.
but we will still support
Yeah,
it.
no, I get that,
All right.
100%.
All right. Okay. Budget support. Well, the budget's winding its way through the process.
RTM, yeah.
But there were no cuts to our areas. so.
And I haven't heard of anything.
Oh.
So didn't get as much as we wanted, but it did go up a touch.
We did get cut, so it's good
It
news.
didn't get cut. Now, the point is are you gonna talk about it in your section about the new hires in the
Which one?
Parks and Recs as part of staff reporting? Because there has been some staff added.
I do not know I know that they, for Parks and Rec, they were just interviewing a couple people.
No, I thought they hired two, one to replace Tabitha.
Oh, yeah, well, I can talk about
Oh,
Steve, yeah.
Okay. all
I
right.
I think I mentioned that. Did I mention last time? Maybe I did.
No.
No.
All right, well,
but
then I'll
yeah,
mention
so
that,
okay, so there,
I think you and I had talked.
Yeah,
I think
we
talked about
talked,
it, yeah,
yeah.
at some point.
so we'll get to that. So there is progress made, and that's part of the problem, that there's not enough people
Yes.
that,
I mean, this is a big
The
problem
focus.
across the board, just in terms of the amount of staff positions that are open. And just
yeah,
not,
which is why they combined,
that's part of it,
they've
I
got
mean,
planning and
it's
development and.
the fact that,
Public
a
works,
lot of
yeah.
it's consultants, like people are going to consultants firms because they can make more money. And that's been a big challenge. It's been a really big.
Hire those consultants.
I know, yep. So
Ah,
You keep hiring them.
we have to, because we don't have enough staff,
Yeah.
So
Okay, yeah.
that's 22, it really is, I know.
Okay.
I know. We gotta be selective when we can.
All right, so vacant land review.
No updates on that.
Gee, what a shock. Um,
So
Yay, ta-da!
obviously, we all heard the presentations last week. I'm going to be meeting with Jen on Wednesday, and we'll talk about the projects. We'll do our debrief. If anybody, I mean, you all ask questions and stuff, but if there's any additional ideas for Jen, you can pass them on to me. And then, once she and I debrief, and you guys we can get the reports. I know we have at least some of them. I haven't looked at them, so that I need to do that before I talk to Jen. But we can talk about where we might want to go with them, because I think all of them have some potential value for us to do follow up. So we'll talk about that at another meeting. I think that's all I have to say right now about that.
Michelle, do you think you'll have the reports by next meeting that I can include as part of the agenda packet?
We
should, it was
No,
supposed to be
we-
approved next week.
We don't include the reports in the agenda packet.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to do,
We
but
were
Seconds on
a
online.
consolidated
Yep.
PowerPoint.
Yep.
So I should be able to get all the presentations from Jen and put together the one overall.
I think I
presentation.
shared them separately with you guys.
We do say, we have a.
Or the one pagers we share.
That's what we shared.
Yeah, we share the one
Choose the one
pagers.
pages, we
Yeah.
put it on the website, then the individual reports.
We distribute.
We
but-
distribute as
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yep.
You know, we've
Right,
already talked
Right,
about.
so, yeah, so
When they-
I don't know if
Okay.
we'll have the one pagers for June or July for sure.
Okay.
Cause it depends on how good of a job the students did at putting together their one page.
Got it.
But the reports will be available.
To the,
Right, to us.
to us, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Another year. Well.
And a good one this year.
Quite
Yeah,
check
just
it.
there. But yeah, I feel really good about this year's projects.
Yeah, that came out now.
And I don't have anything for open space stewardship. I mean, you said it in the presentation, we need the people and some, at least one of the projects would be really good to incorporate into what we do with volunteers, but we don't have the people to oversee the
I think,
volunteers.
I mean,
So
there's a model that Tom's kind of been doing is sponsorship by an organization.
Yeah.
Right, and so,
but you still got to have someone, so you have to have some staff oversight.
to go
I-
better.
I think once we have the structure set up, we will have the people, but we can't bring in volunteers so we have a way of using them and directing them.
Yep.
So,
Fair enough.
No, so I don't know. Oh, I guess I knew my staff report.
and then, so that was, and I have actually a new thing for outreach, which is kind of interesting.
I didn't get there yet.
Yes, we
We
did.
just did.
We're there.
Yep,
We
We're there.
have yet another.
Oh, yeah,
comment.
no.
Oh, you know, the stewardship comment? I'm sorry.
As was mentioned before, it was brought to my attention that formally. on
Oh,
books,
yes,
The Pequot Woods membership from the Conservation Committee is the chair. And we know that the fine work that Bray's been doing, and I, on the side said, would you continue to do it? And he said, yes, so I would need a motion. Right, that would authorize Bray to continue to be the representative for the Conservation Commission on the Pequot Woods Board.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
without objection, passed.
All right.
I'm gonna railroad that through.
There you go. Good
That's
job,
the chair.
Larry.
Okay. Now you can talk
Okay,
about
so
it.
now the outreach. So I'm involved with the FIRST robotics program. And last year I started working with the middle schoolers. Next year's topic for all the levels is canopy. So we
I'm
don't,
sorry, did I hear the word canopy?
you did. I'm assuming it has something to do with tree canopy, although
Wow.
we don't have the full reveal yet. But one of at the grade school level, they actually are required to do reports and try to solve a problem that has to do with whatever the topic is. So in August, we'll get the actual, here's exactly what you're doing. We'll probably get hints between now and then. So there might be some opportunity for us to interact with providing ideas to the students on what aspects, what are the problems that they could try to solve in the canopy issues. But anyway, I don't know any, that's as much as I know right now, but I thought I'd give a heads up to start thinking about as you go through stuff. Hey, here's something that middle schoolers could deal with.
Middle schoolers, okay.
Yeah. And I don't know at the high school level, because I know, Groton's got a big high school team. I don't know if they have also the lower levels, and I don't know how much I don't think the high schoolers don't have to do the same kind of research report that the younger kids do, which I think is interesting that they have the young kids research, but not the high school. It's like,
Excuse me.
anyway.
High school
but-
is more, they're actually,
they're building.
they're building and.
Well, so in the middle
more
school, they
hands-on.
build Lego robots and they program them. In fact, we have the club right now that are programming those get ready. So they actually program Lego robots to perform
It's
mission
getting scary.
that perform missions that have to
Nothing.
do with the topic, right? And I think programming a robot to be independent is harder than programming one that you drive around.
Yes.
Because the high schoolers get to drive the robot, the middle schoolers have to do it autonomous. So anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive actually. But my point was I wanted to bring up the awareness that we have another opportunity for outreach in the tree canopy area potentially. That's all.
Speaking of,
We think it's tree canopy.
No, we don't know.
Alright.
Well, yeah,
Oh, if it's
yeah,
actually-
yeah, I think it is
Right.
because the
It's not-
pictures.
I mean, it could be, exactly. It could
They
be.
they have this brief video that shows pictures and it shows trees and
All right, that's good.
environment and stuff. So it's, yeah.
So, what kind of canopy?
didn't wanna make it
It's
a
like a big tent.
No, it
It's
definitely shows lots of trees and forests and stuff in the mission. So it's,
Cool.
definitely got trees involved.
I feel a little bit.
Well, that's.
It's very cool.
speaking of trees.
Oh, trees.
Focus, focus.
We're almost there, y'all. I'll try and keep it brief. So now that I'm finally done with school, I'm in the grind of things. Groton Community Tree Initiative. I did a brief 4-page paper, intentionally one. We'll get there, but I like adding my details. I'm sorry. I'll just go through it real quick. I wish I had it online. Sorry. And then just let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, and then
So it's not in the package?
No.
It came in.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nope.
Okay, so I did my purpose, it's a quick little spiel, and then our summary of the 15 tree actions with the tree advisories board's plans to identify 5 major goals. A being tree canopy goal and foundational data, that's goal 1. B, ordinance review and governance, that's goal 2. C, equity and environmental justice, that is goal 3. D, tree inventory and maintenance, which is goal 5. E, community engagement and alignment, I combined goal 8 and goal 10 together. So those are our 5 major goals that we're looking at for our tree canopies project. Status update, a couple months ago, I was working on the tree canopy plan and EJ analysis. I started the preliminary matrix and I need to refine a couple things. And I think a lot of that is because of the FAA restricted airport surface that we've mentioned. I did track 7027 and 7028, which those fall under the town's responsibilities. They both are below the 40% tree canopy threshold. So that's what I'm probably going to be looking at a little bit deeper. And then the statutory requirement, CGS 23-8. Statutes appear to function as guidance. There's no mandates at the moment, no enforcement mechanisms identified. Recommendation at that moment is town manager requests a town attorney review for POCD alignment. Maybe not.
No problem.
I saw that.
That's a little, I don't think you're at that point yet. I mean, I think that we've already looked at the statute and it is, right now it's guidance. So very similar to other stuff that comes out all the time. Yeah, the hard thing is gonna be will be how to enforce that, what the funding would look like specifically for that, and coming up with a plan. But I don't think it's to have staff attorney. The staff attorney's time is very valuable. And so I don't think you're quite there yet for it. I think it's more, probably
Down the line.
I actually think it's more probably in line with reaching out to Parks and Rec, reaching out to Mark and figuring out, is this something doable? And what would, and if that was the case, what does that look like? I'd start the conversation with him first, because, as Larry brings up almost every meeting, he didn't do it this time, actually. Almost every meeting. He did.
Not over yet.
You know what I'm gonna say, is the fact that, that as I mentioned, like having issues filling positions, This is another responsibility. You know, who this would fall to, would it fall under Parks and Rec? Would it fall under Public Works? It can't be Jeff Church, because now I've really discovered how much free time he has, and it's negative, basically.
Oh, man.
So I think part of it is probably a bigger conversation at some point with Mark, and to kind of, I think, educate him about this, but also to see if there's opportunity for it and what that would take, you know, in terms of resources to be
Mhm.
able to do that. Because it's great. I think it's a really, it would be great if it was more mandated. It might be a little more manageable. But I think the cost with having staff to deal with that, the cost of the plants, all that kind of stuff is pretty significant. So I think it's, see how it aligns with the tree management plan. And probably at some point set up a meeting with Mark, or a couple of you meet with Mark and stuff like
That was
that.
gonna be, yeah.
So before you go the staff attorney route, yeah, the town attorney.
Yeah, that was, in my eyes, that was way down the road, way down the road. Going back, this was my conversation with Sue Sutherland a while back. She mentioned the Bluff Point ecological sensitivity, that should be considered in this plan. I'm gonna briefly discuss about the critical migratory habitat in that area, just to make make awareness of it and whatnot, and how it's important and all that stuff. I will also include the students' reports, recommendation methods that we received, about what they recommend our methods using the iTree canopy, the Epi Collect 5, and plant nets. And obviously they're not recommendations, which is drones and consulting firms.
On that note too, what I think that report would be great to forward to Mark Berry. I also think the other piece too is that it was great to have the two students work on that. It would be really great if you could try it out yourself and
Myself,
see if it
yes.
actually, like, kind of get a,
A
you know,
feel.
a different perspective on it, to make sure that this is something that's manageable before you kind of pass it along to Parks and Rec. And it just, like I said, it's just a small trial, might not hurt.
And you already have that. I didn't look at it yet, but you have that report, right, Giselle?
I
You have
did,
the one?
and
Okay.
they included the pictures.
Yeah.
They did. I got them all.
Hey, Michelle, you got them.
Yes. And then number 5 at the moment is commission supports to Parks and Recreations. The Conservation Commission is committed to support Parks and Recs in implementing the tree plan. Our immediate focus at the moment is action number 1, which is the tree inventory goal 5.1. This is the first major action that we are required to support all the other goals, and hopefully with the trial of these recommendation tools, I'm looking beginning planning fall of 2026, maybe.
Oh,
Beginning doing what?
yeah.
Doing an
The
inventory?
initial inventory,
Having
potentially.
Parks and Rec do the inventory, or you're gonna do
I'm
it
gonna
100%?
slowly.
All right. All right, that's good enough. I think I just want to make sure before
Yeah.
Mark finds out the
Okay,
wrong
so-
way.
So as we go forward is that, what I'd like to do is that you and I go talk to Mark. We'll develop, this is what we want to talk to him about, here's what we want to ask him, here's what we're going to tell him. You know, so we need to strategize that,
Mm.
right? And then we can come back and talk to the full commission. And that also leads into as I said earlier, the report that we want to give to the town council about tree canopy. So there's a lot of things going on. This is going to be the year of tree canopy.
Yes, it is. So hopefully by our next meeting in June, I'm gonna have a recommended outline for the full commissions to review. My next steps, I'm planning on reaching out to Parks and Rec and just discussing everything with them, see what they have ideas with. That was always gonna be an intent. And then also I'm going to go back into my matrix and try and refine those tracks and the restricted areas and whatnot. And I will be doing the small trials myself to look at those apps and see how feasible and how good they are in those plots of lands.
And get ideas for what to do with next year's students.
Mhm. Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's what I have at the moment.
Thank you.
So I'll forward this. I know we just got this, well, I got it this morning. But I'll forward it out to you tomorrow, so you guys can all see it.
Let me fix it. I added
That's
a
fine.
couple.
Just, yeah,
notes.
okay, fine.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
All right. And last but not least,
Gosh, I got a lot for you this time.
maybe usually
I'm
you
gonna-
said everything by the time you
I
get
know,
there.
usually I do, right? All right, where are my notes? Right there. Oh, so yes, Stephen Moffett has been hired as the new manager of Parks and Open Space. He started 2 weeks, actually, this is his third Monday. He's doing great, getting caught up on everything. I did mention that at some point, the commission would love to meet him. He said, fall's great, like, so probably close to the late fall. He is in, it's a fire hose right now because there's a lot of responsibilities in terms of, getting his crew all up to speed and making sure what his priorities are and stuff and making sure stuff's just getting done.
But he's not a newbie. He's
He's not,
experienced.
no,
in-
he's not. So I mean, I think he's
in-
already, I met with him for an hour and a half today to kind of go over the big time projects that are coming through down the pipe and stuff like that. And he's like a sponge, so he's really looking to absorb that and understand how we all work together and stuff like that, how the different departments work together to get stuff accomplished. So I think he'll be great. So yeah, so you might see him around. I think they're still short a couple crew members. So that's been a little challenge there. I think he said today they were trying to hire a summer person that didn't work out. Like, I guess they decided to give him the job. So there's still challenges with making sure that he has enough staff for the summer to do the basic stuff around. But yeah, so plan for some time. I'd say probably October, November. I'll get him to here, but you might see him around town, and if you do, please introduce yourselves to him.
Will he recognize him? How, like, is this picture online that we can see what he looks like?
No, we don't do that, do we? Run into even if it's in an event, something like, I'm just thinking maybe at an event or something like that. But he's a bigger beard than I do. It's also peppered gray like mine is. Mine's almost white now, but
I was gonna
all
say-
right, Larry. This is my time to talk. All right, so another couple things. That's where that was going. Another couple things. So Climate Ready Groton. The Tuesday, May 26th, at 5 to 6 p.m. here at Town Hall Annex. We were going to be doing the climate action plan launch to talk. So I think Sabit's going to be giving a little talk on the plan. Ready for this? The plan, 30 pages. So a lot more succinct, and it looks nice. So it should not be as hopefully challenging or as time intensive to review and whatnot. So that
Is this strategy or actionable
it's strategies and actions.
and action?
Yes.
Okay.
That launch will officially launch the public comment period, which will start the very next day on the 27th. The public comment period would be from May 27th to July 11th. In between there, on June 8th, we think this is a potential, put a question mark next to this. There's going to be a public presentation by OPDS and as well as the consultant to kind of go over if there are any outstanding questions and stuff like that, kind of more of a Q&A. That's on the June 8th. That's, like I said, potentially right now. And then basically the plan is once the public comment period closes, they'll work on revisions, they'll work on and then they'll work on final. We're still not sure whether it's final adoption, resolution, whatever it is with the town council. That'll be sometime in mid-July. This project will be completely done, technically completely done by June 30th.
All right, so
Wow.
recommendation from staff about input from the Conservation Commission?
So you have between May 26th, May 27th, well, technically May 26th if you go there because you get a sneak peek. So you have until June 11th. So you have a meeting in between.
You said July 11th. You just
Yeah.
said June. 11th.
Sorry, June 11th. It's
June
May
11th.
26th, May
Oh, okay, tight
27th.
window.
To
It
June,
is. It's
to June, because I wrote down.
June 11th.
I
Yep.
put July.
Yeah,
So-
he said July.
This
You
is-
said July.
Alright. The 12th or whatever. We have different things, so it's either the 11th or the 12th. You'll get that as soon as. Again, this is not technically, it's a bit, so he's managing all that, so I have different, obviously the different dates. So it's probably either to the 11th or 12th, so you have about 2.5 weeks to get comments, or just over 2 weeks.
Right, so we should have on our June
Meeting.
agenda.
Yep,
A decision on do a position in, what our position is.
Yep.
So that's gonna be some homework, guys.
yeah, so that should give you, what is the meeting? Is that June right there? April,
Well, June was,
Our meeting,
is
June 1st.
June 1st, okay, so that'll give you a week and a half after that. So that gives you basically well, 5 days to review it. But again, it's 30 pages. It's very different than the POCD and the baseline report and everything
Is,
else.
is that gonna be reported posted before the meeting or day of?
I think
or-
it gets launched on the
26th.
26th or 27th. He's gonna go. I don't know how he's gonna do it yet. He was sick today. We were supposed to have a whole conversation about what he was thinking for that. But basically,
is it appropriate for you as soon as it's
yeah,
publicly available to send it to
Yeah,
all of us?
of course.
Okay, thank you.
But all of you are on the mailing list, so you're gonna get a copy of that
That
anyways.
usually is X days late.
No,
because
it won't. It's gonna be because the timeline's kind of quick. It's going to, you should get it like literally, if you go to that event on the 26th, it'll probably be in your mailbox in the morning on the 27th. But I will make sure, yes, as soon as that comes out, I will make sure that you get that copy. I'll send it out to all of you so you have it 2 different ways. So it doesn't get lost or go to spam. Hopefully you haven't set your settings that my stuff goes to spam, but
Yeah, your name.
yeah, I know, it's
Okay.
trash. But yeah, I can do that too.
All right,
right.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's it?
That's all I got.
Oh,
2 things.
okay, that's not bad.
It was
Yeah, that's bad at all.
All right, all right.
Michelle.
Michelle,
I move we adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
Without objections, we are adjourned.
Kristen, I thought you had to leave at 7.
See you in,
That's what I'm stressed out.
see you in June.